Hey guys, what's up? This is John Darden with Blue Realty, and this is Blu Moves episode 7 with the famous Mr. Brandon Carter.
You're listening to Blu Moves, your home for all things real estate, presented by Blue Realty.
Mr. Carter, how are you this morning, brother?
I'm doing well. I like the introduction. You got to throw in
The, yes. It's like how
No
Facebook
longer
used to be.
just Brandon. God, I need to change my name, my cards to the
Yes.
Brandon Carter.
Like
Quotation.
the Ohio State, the Facebook,
There you go.
the Brandon Carter.
Absolutely.
How are you this morning, brother?
Not bad. A little worn out.
You've had
but
kind of a crazy week.
I've had a crazy year.
Okay.
Absolutely.
Well, we're going to talk about your crazy year
Absolutely.
for sure this morning. You've had some chaos in real estate today.
For sure.
That's okay. That's part of the game.
Understatement. Since 6 a.m. this morning.
Nice.
We never stop working.
We never
That's
stop
what
working.
Most
Absolutely.
people don't realize.
24/7, baby.
Always.
That phone is always on,
Always.
which is a blessing and a curse at the same time. So, if you don't know Brandon, I don't know what rock you've been hiding under, especially if you're local here in Lubbock. The Brandon Carter, famous for a variety of reasons, most namely Texas Tech football. Back in the day, our heyday, we were in Tech at the same time. We had some classes together. Brandon had a little crush on me. It was a little awkward. I didn't really know how to handle it, but I let him down gently. And we're still friends today, which I feel like is great.
Yeah, absolutely. Friendship blossomed out of it. Yeah, for sure.
Brandon was recently named the greatest right guard in Texas Tech football history.
Yes.
Is that correct?
Yes. That was very humbling, I will say. It was not expected. There's so many talented guys that have played on the Texas Tech program, so to be considered the best really by anybody, even just an average fan, is an absolute honor. So
For sure. And like I've told Brandon, we just haven't had very many great right guards. The rest of the line has been fantastic. So, a little bit stiffer competition there. Right guard,
Manny Ramirez over at the Texas Tech facility might have something different to say. Just talk to him about it, maybe.
Just kidding, Manny. I didn't realize you were the right guard. Just kidding. JK. Actually, on that note, so you bring up Manny, we're going to kind of talk about all sorts of different things this morning. We're going to talk about Texas Tech football. We're going to talk about your time in the NFL. We're going to talk about your time as a wrestler for the WWE when you were TAC.
Done it all.
TAC, baby.
Been there, done it, seen it, been through it.
Whew.
I've done a lot of things in my 31 years.
31
Crazy to
years.
say 31. I'm in my 30s now.
And now you're in the most chaotic of them all.
Yes.
Real estate, baby.
Yeah,
Real estate. So you bring up Manny. Who from your teams? Now you played from it was 05 to 09?
Yes, 2005 I got here and then left in December of 2009.
Okay. Who from those teams are you still connected with? Who do you still talk to?
Oh boy. It's pretty sporadic. Mostly linemen. Sean Burns is still a great friend of mine. Louis Vasquez, Marlon Wynn, Rylan Reed, Stephen Hamby, the Great Wall of Lubbock, all of those
Great
guys
Wall,
that
baby.
you think about.
Mm-hmm.
We really were like a brotherhood. So, we were always very close to each other. So we've always really had that bond. We don't talk to each other as probably often as you'd like to, but life goes on and you get busy and jobs and families and kids and so it's pretty sporadic, but I try to stay in touch with those guys every once in a while just to see how life's going.
Everybody always wants to know about Graham and Crabtree. You still talk to either one of those guys?
Yeah, I speak to Graham. Again, pretty sporadic. He's still over at North Texas. He's doing well. Obviously, Crabtree's still playing. It's been a number of years since I talked to Crabtree, but we always had a pretty mutual relationship. I feel like at the time we were both captains. We were both kind of guys that were really looked up to on the team. So when we had to meet or anything, one-on-one meetings with other coaches and stuff, all the leaders would be in there together. So we kind of developed a little relationship out of that as well.
Yeah, for sure. Well, I know those are the questions you get asked. How many times a week do you get asked that question?
How many times that
I just feel like you probably get bombarded with, hey, you still talk to so-and-so? You still talk to so-and-so?
Yeah, I just get asked about football a lot in general, which, it comes with the territory. It's understandable. And it's not necessarily a bad thing. I mean, it shows how devout that our fan base is and how true they stay to their program, and just the fact that they can recognize a face from a decade prior. That just kind of shows you how dedicated our fan base is.
Well, and I mean, undoubtedly, like the greatest era of Texas Tech football history.
Yeah, I think that also helps. The tattoos and being 6'7", close to a 300-pound man, also kind of you stick out like a sore thumb.
No doubt.
Everywhere you go.
Absolutely, for sure. Tell me. I'm putting you on the spot here. I haven't prepped him with any of these questions, but what is your favorite, funniest memory that is obviously appropriate to tell here?
Oh, gosh.
Favorite memory. I'm sure there's not too many appropriate things. In locker rooms, there's just a lot of shenanigans. But favorite memory from Tech football years?
Honestly, the favorite memory would just have to be the brotherhood. Just all the guys and that camaraderie between, the members of the team. And obviously you're going to have your differences here and there. There's 100-something men in the room, who's got the most testosterone.
For sure.
So, but as far as funny, we were always pulling ribs on each other. And it would go from, the young guys having their stuff thrown in the cold tub, or there was one kid I actually, and it wasn't to be mean, because I was actually really mutual with the kid. We were friends, but I'd throw some of his stuff out in the tree and quit. We'd all be out in practice, and they'd say, "Oh, where's such and such?" And he's still trying to get stuff out of the tree. We always had the famous haircuts at the beginning of the year. All linemen had to have their haircuts in some crazy fashion. All the older guys got to do it. So, and if you shaved it, you had your eyebrows shaved. And so we only had one guy, Lonnie Edwards, that ever shaved it. So he had his eyebrows gone too. But that was something like everybody goes through it. When I was a freshman, I went through it, and actually, funny enough, my freshman year, I came in clean cut, baby face, green as could be, and they gave me a mohawk. And at that point, it was like, okay.
I feel like I remember being in a class with you in your mohawk with the baby face.
Oh, yeah.
I'm intimidated, but at the same time, he looks like a sweet guy.
Yeah.
I'm confused.
You don't want to see me without a beard, for sure. There's a reason why I have the beard, and it'll stay for probably the rest of my life, because you don't want to see my face without it.
I feel you. I look like I'm 13 without my beard. Okay, so just some of the shenanigans that went on were the good time memories.
I mean, every day that you walked in, somebody was pulling some kind of rib on someone, and that brought a lot. It was all it was coaches, it was staff, it was players, it was everything, and that was part of that team mentality.
Right.
That was that family kind of feel.
Yeah.
Obviously, you're not going to mess with somebody that you don't really like. You're just going to say, I'll mess with this kid.
Right.
So. It was all innocent stuff. Sometimes it would go a little bit too far, but we had a lot of fun with it. A lot of fun with it.
That's good. We not that we bring that all the way into our office at Blue, but from time to time there's some shenanigans that go on here too. Poor Brandon, we make him cry almost every other day. He's such a tender-hearted guy.
Yeah.
It's okay though, buddy. I'm here for you.
I appreciate it.
Tell me, just because we got so much to talk about here, future Tech football. What do you think 2018-2019 season looks like?
To be honest, I've been so busy that I didn't get to pay any attention this spring, which is a little bit different for me. But I haven't really seen what they're going to do. I know that we're in an uphill battle. We've been building for quite some time now. We lost some great players last year, so we have some big shoes to fill. I like some of the moves as far as the coaching staff. We brought in some of the old guys that were on the coaching staff when I was playing.
Who's back?
Special teams coaches. It is.
I
Let's see. They
apparently
brought in
haven't kept up
Brandon
either.
Jones last year, and then Clay McGuire actually.
Okay.
Clay McGuire was a walk-on for Texas Tech, and then he. When I was playing, and then he became a GA, and then became a coach under Coach Leach, and then he moved on and he bounced around for a while. He was out under Ruffin McNeil,
Okay.
and then back out to Washington State. But then he's finally back home. I think this is where he wants to be.
Right.
He's a West Texas boy, so it's always nice to have those coaches that have pride, in the school itself. I'm a little hesitant every once in a while just because of the buddy system. Sometimes I'm afraid, are you just pulling your friends in, or are you actually pulling in quality? And
Right.
Clay and Brandon, I think, were our absolute quality hires, and along with many of the other members on the staff. And again, I think it's moving towards the right direction. But I definitely do think that we have quite an uphill battle.
Well, when you lose 4 starting wide receivers, all to the draft, which is awesome.
Yeah, that's fantastic for the program.
Your starting quarterback, yeah. Not that
Well,
I'm the football guru, but I think it's gonna be rough.
Well, I mean, it's fantastic just for eyes to be drawn to Texas Tech. If you have casual fans that end up being a fan of Kiki or whatnot. Obviously, they're going to say he's from Texas Tech. Well, they might tune in to go check out what Texas Tech's all about.
Right.
That's always a good thing. It's always good to have representatives of your school, out there representing on a high level.
Yeah. Well, I'm not going to put you on the spot and ask for a record prediction, but unless you want to. That's okay. I'm not going to make you do it. That's fine. Okay, let's switch gears quick. NFL. Talk about your NFL days.
NFL. Man, it's cutthroat. It is still to this day the most cutthroat business I've ever been in, and I'm actually in real estate now. And if you're in real estate, you know exactly what I'm talking about.
No doubt.
But it's extremely cutthroat. Everyone is expendable. Like my idea, I never wanted to be that guy about money. I never wanted to be that way in sport. I absolutely love the game of football, and that's why I chose to play it. And I was adamant about I'm going to be that guy. I don't care about money. I'm just going to play. And love the game. And it's easily taken away from you. I will say that
The love of the game.
Yes, it's easy for it to become a check, because after my stint with New Orleans, you almost have to cut all emotional ties, because in the NFL you're no longer devout to a team. You are just a cog in the machine, and if they need another piece in that machine, then again you're expendable, and then you become a cog in someone else's machine. And so there's really not any devotion to anybody, because myself, I played on a team. I played for New Orleans, and then later in that season I played against New Orleans because I had gotten traded out to Tampa. So it's just one of those businesses, especially when you come up in all sports. If you've ever played any sports, especially a team sport, your coaches always tell you team. It's all team mentality. And when you got to the NFL, it was watch out for yourself,
Right.
at all times. So it was a great experience. I got to learn from a lot of amazing athletes. It was really cool to play against some of the athletes that I looked up to as like a hero when I was a child, which was really cool. In no way do I regret it whatsoever. I'm so thankful for my time and for the knowledge that I gained there, and just for the experience, just to say that I did it. I worked my tail off to get there, so I was very proud to actually be there.
Who, like, if you can pinpoint a memory of like going up against somebody in your NFL days that just really sticks out to you, who would that be?
The Gerald McCoys, that was that rivalry, brought to light again. Same as Ndamukong Suh. I think if anybody ever watched me at Tech, they knew that those were my two biggest rivals. And
you dominated.
Those are the two guys that, that whole week I was battle ready. I was about to bring it down on those two guys, and it was kind of cool to bring that rivalry back around. Your Jason Taylor was that was really cool to go against him. He was obviously later in his career, but then you had Vince Wilfork. I've never had a bull rush that was more difficult than Vince Wilfork.
That guy's huge.
It's unreal. I've never planted my cleats in the ground and been drugged completely back and looked down and you could see the cleat mark streaks. It was, it was incredible. And as big as he is, he doesn't look very athletic, but he's a very athletic big man, and he's very strong. He's quick. He's not fast, and he can't go like some of those other guys, but
they just bowl you over.
He was a talented guy. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. That's crazy. It's crazy to think about Ndamukong Suh. Like, you played against him at Tech and he played against him in the NFL, which, by the way, when Brandon went up against him, he was in Nebraska, right?
Oh yeah.
You dominated that guy.
Oh,
you dominated him.
Man, our last game, I was suspended the week before. We don't have to bring that up.
No, we won't talk about that.
The last time that we played him was up in Nebraska, and we actually handled them.
Didn't we just blow him out of the water?
It wasn't even close. And that game, he had 3 tackles the entire game. I went against him the whole time, and the whole week the coaches are just like, what's gonna happen? And Ndamukong Suh's coming after you, and I was like, I'm about to tear this dude up. And so that was I was probably most stoked after that game. And once the last second had worn off, we go to you meet at the 50-yard line, everyone shake each other's hands, and I'm looking for him, and I look over to the left, and he's jogging off to the locker room, and that, to me, I couldn't be any more proud of that, because that just shows that he was defeated. That he expected more of himself out of that game, and I wore him out, and he didn't want to stay around to thank me for the
butt whooping.
There you go.
That's awesome. I feel like Nebraska left the Big 12 because of Tech.
You know what?
I'm gonna claim responsibility for that.
I kind of feel like we had their number.
Oh, without a doubt.
Actually, my recruiting visit, I don't know if some of y'all might actually remember this, but my recruiting visit when I was still in high school, I came out here on my official when we played Nebraska, and that was when we romped them like 70-something to 10.
Yeah.
And I'm in the stands saying, this is what I want to do. I want to be a part of this.
Okay, well, on that note then, I'm glad you brought that up, because I wanted to ask, so you were from a long way away from Lubbock, Texas.
Yes.
What made Tech your home? Why did you decide to come to Tech?
Oh, gosh. I don't know if y'all want to get into those depths. Originally, I'm from New Jersey, but I went to I graduated high school in Longview, Texas, East Texas, and at the time, my family had some issues, and I was basically out on my own. So at the time, I had multiple jobs. It was the closest place that I felt like I could afford to drive to. So, I took an extra job as a busboy, earned a little bit of money to come out here. And I say that, actually, A&M offered me as well, but yeah, that's A&M. So I passed up on that, decided to drive a few extra hours out to West Texas. But, I never took another visit. I never looked at any other school. I felt that Tech was the place for me. I wanted to be a part of building something. I didn't want to be a part of someone that has already been established, kind of honestly like Blue Realty itself, you know. I have a strong sense of pride in saying that, looking back and saying, I was a big part of that, and I helped that grow and become big. If I had gone to an LSU or a Florida State or Miami and we had done the same thing that we did in 2008, it would have been forgettable.
Right.
Just to bring that much excitement and that much attention to a school that many have never even heard of. That's a really cool thing.
Well, and I mean, quite frankly, I had lunch at the Tech Club yesterday, and I was sitting back looking around at the stadium. I mean, we go to it so much, you kind of get used to the way it looks now. But your teams literally built what it is now.
Yeah.
I mean, the excitement that came from those teams poured the money in, and the need to absolutely the need to expand the stadium and build the East Side Club. And
I remember laying all those bricks and I did it all myself.
Yeah, Brandon did it all by himself.
But it is true, because actually when I first got to Tech, they were just opening the new locker room. When I first was visiting, they were still down in the stadium, and they were in, a dungy, beat up locker room. The weight room was out of date. I mean, my high school weight room was nicer.
Yeah.
And so, they opened that, and at that time it was like, oh, what a great facility. And the stadium, I thought at that time, was gorgeous.
Yeah.
And in comparison to today, ours, it's not even close. Our stadium it's a coliseum now.
Yeah,
it's
for sure.
It is.
Sure. It's just getting
I
nicer.
put it up against anybody's. Yeah, absolutely. And they're just going to continue to keep on expanding on it and making it look nicer. And absolutely. Every time that I walk into that stadium or even drive by, I do have a sense of pride in seeing that, because I do feel like that I was a big part of that, along with, really every other athlete that's come before and after me.
Absolutely.
It's a group effort, and from coaches to staff to players, and obviously we were doing something right to help build that stadium to what it is now.
Man, it's so crazy to think. Like, dude, we're getting old. I graduated Tech 10 years ago. I mean, this was over a decade ago. It's crazy.
It really is.
I don't feel that old,
yeah.
But apparently we are. Anyway, a ton of pride, and I like you make the correlation to, because I think it's totally true. You came to Tech wanting to help build something that wasn't already built. Yeah. Well, I mean, obviously Tech football has decades of pride into it, but never anything like what you guys experienced. And I mean, I do feel the same way about Blue, who we are. Like, we're brand new. We're not riding any coattails. Again, there's anything wrong with that. Nothing wrong with that, but we're building our own thing too. One more question on the NFL thing, then I want to switch to the wrestling thing. Wrestling. What was it like being in a meeting room with somebody like Drew Brees and then Tony Romo in Dallas? Like, what was that? How was that experience?
Like I said, a lot of the guys, it was a great experience to learn from, and those two guys I learned quite a bit from. It was almost like breathtaking as soon as you're in the meeting, because the coaches will start talking, and then all of a sudden the quarterbacks and Rondé Barber was the same way at Tampa when I was playing with him, but they come up and they command everybody's attention, and what they say goes.
Yeah.
And it's almost like having another coach in the meetings and on the field, because they are that intelligent. They know the game like the back of their hand. They know exactly what every position on the field should be doing and where they should be. It's impressive. It truly is. It's impressive to watch those guys, and you can definitely tell the difference in not just talent, because there are some guys that may be more talented, but the knowledge of the game keeps them relevant in this game, and it really is impressive because it takes a lot of knowledge. It truly does. It takes a lot of knowledge to know one job on the field, much less 22.
Yeah. Well, I have to say, like, when we do our team meetings on Tuesdays, I'll sit back every now and then and, like, look at you, and I'm like, crap. This dude sat in a meeting with Drew freaking Brees. Like, John, you better up your game, dude, because, like, he is sat under the pinnacle leader of leaders. So it forces me to level up, which I appreciate. Okay. Let's switch gears to that wrestling thing.
Yeah.
How did that happen?
Oh, man. Wrestling was honestly something that I wanted to do since I was a child. I always used to go to the wrestling shows with my mom when I was younger, and it was an escape from reality. They were larger than life characters, which, does the face paint, and the Brandon Carter was that whole character created from wrestling? Large in part, absolutely, yes. Yeah. Because it was just such an exciting thing, to watch those guys come out, like the Road Warriors, they painted up, and they instantly grasped your attention. They didn't even have to do anything, just by the sheer image of them walking out. They grasped your attention, and that was kind of the idea at Tech. It was the whole persona was just to get the fans into it. How can we get these fans even more into it? How can we get them behind us to help us? Because I don't think people realize how big of a difference a home field advantage makes.
For sure.
If you have a hot crowd, a UT 2008, every single game inside the Jones, trust me, you're going to have a much different outcome. And on the flip side of that, whenever we were at away stadiums, it actually benefited us quite a bit, myself, because, I always got screamed at, spit on, and stuff thrown at, and so that's just fuel on the fire. But I was one of the leaders on the team, so I knew how to handle that.
Right.
So for me to take the attention off of those young guys that won't handle that very well, if they let fans get in their head, then it might have an impact on the game. So, it was all in fun. It was a blast. I think everybody had fun with it. I think Tech really enjoyed it for the most part. There was a few people that I came across that weren't into it, especially other fans. You read those other fan sheets.
Yeah, for sure.
Oh my gosh, some of the things that I read, it's pretty funny. But at the end of the day, it was a lot of fun. It brought a lot of attention to our staff, and at the end of the day, it brought a whole lot of attention to our offensive line, which was maybe the most talented group on the field.
Oh, without a doubt, yeah.
Rightfully so, deserved a little bit of attention. The big guys want a little attention every once in a while.
Right. Well, most of them went to the NFL, so.
Absolutely.
So, would you say, like you grew up watching wrestling, and so obviously, like, that was part of the persona of the Brandon Carter at Tech, and then after your NFL days, a couple of injuries, you decided to try out the wrestling thing. That was WWE, right?
Yes.
Okay.
I actually had offers to go to WWE before I even ever left college.
Oh, really?
So there was a few times Tommy McVeigh, he's the guy, basically the guy in charge of all the stuff at Tech, and he had to run a few guys out of the facility because I kept getting approached by WWE. And it was something that I had always aspired to, but it was definitely on the back burner to football until I started getting injured in the NFL. And once that happened, I actually accepted a contract before my stint with the Dallas Cowboys was ever even over. And a lot of people don't realize that.
I didn't know that.
So, yeah, I went to Dallas, and, every time that I'd hit full speed running, it honestly felt like my knee was on threads. And so at that point, I kind of saw the end of my football career and felt that, maybe... Actually, I thought wrestling would be a lot easier on my body. And I'll assure you, it hurts.
Yeah. Well, there's no way that doesn't hurt.
It hurts.
So where did you were kind of telling some of us in the office yesterday sort of like what a schedule was, like driving out Thursday, flying out Friday, driving back on Saturday, going to a show here, going to a show there. You literally were on the road all the time.
Absolutely. There were many days or many months that, you're only home 3, 4, 5 days a month. Sometimes not even. If you're on a long circuit, you're stuck. I mean, that's your life. And it gets old quick. I lived that life again, like I said, in the NFL. You live out of a bag, you live in hotel rooms, you live in cars, eating to-go food. And, in the beginning, it's kind of a little exciting, but after 4 years, 4.5, 5 years, it gets real old. It takes its toll.
Yeah. Well, there's no way to be I don't know how normal, quote unquote, normal lifestyle is out the window, obviously, at that point. But that becomes your norm. For sure.
It is the norm.
Yeah.
Yes, absolutely. There is no what we would think a normal lifestyle,
Tell us quickly about your character in WWE.
My character. I just went around angry and bitter about everyone else being sinners. Yes.
Oh, are you serious?
Yes,
so
absolutely.
So Tack was like a religious zealot?
Kind of, yes.
Oh my God.
I have the 7 deadly sins tattooed on my side, and so that ended up becoming one of my characters. And so every time that I had an opponent, it's, oh, you're guilty of greed, and I'd come after you. It was. It worked. I actually had a very mean character. Obviously, it's lighthearted now, but when those cameras were on and I was cutting my promos, I was really into it. So
you were a bitter, angry. I'm trying to be nice here, but like I don't know. It just seems to that kind of persona fits in pretty decently well here in West Texas.
Oh yeah,
overly religious,
overly
zealot.
Yeah, absolutely. Are we getting a little risque?
We may be a little risque. I don't know.
Not to offend anyone. Trust me.
Hey, listen, I'm a former minister, so it's okay. I can talk bad about us because it's what I am. So how many years were you in WWE? It wasn't too long, was it?
No, I was only in just a little over a year.
You broke your back?
I broke my back in college. Most people don't realize I actually played the first 3 years of my career with 3 broken vertebrae at Tech. My L4, L5, S1. And not until my junior year did I actually have a surgery. I remember walking in and telling Mike Leach and Matt Moore, who was my O-line coach at the time, I told them that I wanted to step away from football. And I think they were just completely blindsided by that. But it was an occurring injury that I had been complaining about for several years. I was in a lot of pain. I was taking, I wasn't a drug guy, but I could go through a bottle of ibuprofen in a day, 2. And it was causing a lot of issues. I couldn't I couldn't sit in my classrooms. I couldn't travel home. I couldn't fly, without having to get an injection straight into my spine. So I was in a lot of pain, and not until my junior year did I have surgery. And then that next year, obviously, was when I became an All-American. So a lot of times I look back and say, man, how good could I have been had I been healthy all that time?
Right.
But injuries do happen, and in wrestling, actually, I had 3 concussions in 4 months, which, if you tack those on to probably the teens that I'm in football, and I say probably because nobody ever documented concussions when I was in high school and college, because at that time it
wasn't a big deal.
Rub some dirt on it, kid, grab some water and get back out there, But my health declined very rapidly when I had the concussions, and then I had a stint of pneumonia that had formed from that, and then I woke up in the hospital. I had breathing tubes down my throat, and the whole 9. And at that point, nobody else had come visit me there, and I just realized this is not the life for me. My family's not here, and so I was like, there's more to life than being an athlete. Yeah, being an athlete was fantastic, and I had such a blast doing it. But at the end of the day, I have bigger dreams than just being an athlete, and I think that kind of ran its course, and now it's time to start on the other part of my life, which has actually been a lot of fun. It truly has. It's much different, and maybe I got started a little bit after everyone else, because I guess everyone really, you really start gearing towards the rest of your life when you're 18. Well, when you go to the NFL and football and wrestling, and I didn't get out of all that until I was probably 27.
Right.
So
yeah.
Maybe a little bit far behind, but I'm catching up. Trust me.
But you've got some experiences that the rest of us don't have. This is a perfect segue. We've got 5 minutes left, and we got to get out of here. Came back to Lubbock, got into personal training, started working out with me.
Got him yoked. This guy used to be 500 pounds, man.
I was huge. 500 pounds minus about 400. We had the opposite problem. So got into personal training, and obviously Lubbock was a great spot for that because you're so well known here, and obviously that made a lot of sense. I want to talk more about your transition into real estate, and tell us about that transition, and I also want to know, what has your athletic experience, like what wisdom can you pull from that has helped you in the real estate business?
Well, initially I never really saw myself doing real estate. Actually, it was through training you that you kept bringing it up, and a typical salesman, right? Kept bringing it up, and then we talked about it forever, you and I.
Yeah.
And then finally one day I was just like, you know what? All right, I'll get into it. I figured I'd go through the classes, and I went in with a mindset of, if I don't like this, I'm just not going to do it, But I'll give it a go. And so I got into it, and the knowledge that I started retaining was, first of all, I think that most, honestly, everybody should know a lot of this stuff. It's very valuable information, but once it actually started getting to the math, that's where most people kind of separate themselves. That's where I just became absolutely enthralled. I was consumed in it. I absolutely loved it. I've always been very talented in math. My brother as well. He's a statistician at Tech, go figure. But we were very gifted, and that's where I felt that I started to separate myself from, just your basic agent, and kind of still to this day, because I do all residential sales, but my favorite part of it is investments. I love being able to run numbers and stats and being able to prove to somebody that, look, this is why this is a great deal, or no, this is why this isn't a great deal. which I come across a lot. A lot of people think that they have something great on their hands, and then I'll run numbers, and then say, look, proof's in the numbers.
Yeah.
I mean, how do you really, if you think about it, how do you prove anything? Most all of it is done by numbers and statistics. So, yeah, I mean, you just translate that to real estate. And but as far as what, the transition from being an athlete into real estate, I think honestly it's just the drive, staying driven, staying goal-oriented, because anything in real estate, nothing's going to be harder than I've been put through in sport. Yeah. I mean, physically, emotionally, mentally, the coaches, clients, dealing with some of them sometimes, some of the things that they say to you, because they think that everything's your fault. It'll never be worse than what the coach has ever said or put you through or anything like that. And so at the end of the day, it's really not that bad. Yeah, you deal with a lot of stuff in real estate, a lot more than I think people give you credit for. But just staying on path and not saying, I give up, whatever, I'm done with this deal, this crazy ridiculous amendment, or this crazy client is being a pain, just the fact of saying, all we can do is just keep pushing forward. If you're losing in sport, if you're losing in a game, if you give up, it's only going to get worse. So you just have to keep pushing, keep driving, stay, like I said, stay driven, stay goal-oriented, and persistency is key in this business, absolutely.
So one of the really impressive things from Brandon is, I think maybe it was your third month, maybe, Brandon comes in with a yellow notepad of the percentage price per foot increase for almost every single neighborhood in Lubbock. You plopped that down in front of me, and I was like, you have got to be freaking kidding me. There's no way I would ever have done that. Like, I'm okay at math, but just the focus and the attention to detail required to do that. From an investor standpoint, I think one of the things that investors have to be super careful of is the commission breath realtor that just wants to sell you something to make a commission. And yeah, maybe it might be okay, kind of a good deal, potentially. I don't know. You buy anything in Lubbock, it's going to be safe, blah, 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 blah. But one of the things that is incredibly impressive to me about Brandon from the math standpoint is legitimately this dude can tell you this is a bad deal.
And I will.
And he will.
I have lost out on several deals because of it. Because as far as investments, if I find you a great deal, you're going to come back to me. If I find you a bad deal, you're never going to come back to me and you're going to tell 10 other people that this guy doesn't know what he's talking about. So just to push a home to close, it's not the best. It's not the best way of going about it, and that I don't want to lose anybody money ever.
Right.
Like I take pride. If a deal works out and somebody's making bukus of money, that to me, I'll do a backflip. I just think that that's fantastic. But as far as breaking down all of the subzones, that was one of the first things that I wanted to do, and it did take me all of 3 months to do it. I broke it down from the last year, 3 years, 5 years, and 10 years. So
that's crazy.
To have the knowledge of knowing that one subzone only grew 10% over the last 10 years, as opposed to subzone over across town that grew 26% in the last 10 years. And you're looking at a like-kind property, well, obviously, you want the one in the subzone that's just growing. Because even if it's a rental property, one day you're probably going to turn around and have to sell it. And if you can sell it at a profit as well, you're making money on both ends. Yeah. So, all of it is very, very valuable information. And even not even just for investors, if you're looking to move somewhere and you want to know, how's the value over here in Lake Ridge retaining? How is Melanie Park's value retain? How's Wolford out there doing? Wolford's exploding. New deals exploding, and just in prices and per square foot, the increases. Many areas are doing fantastic, and there's some areas that are not.
Yeah.
And if you're knowledgeable of that, every bit of knowledge in this business is extremely beneficial.
So here's the final word. I think one of the things that is impressive to me, and I've known Brandon for a long time, so I've always known that he was an incredibly intelligent, caring person. Like, our culture cuts through BS like that. If you're faking that you actually care or that you actually know what you're talking about, we know. Like, we can spot that a mile away. Brandon, and I learned this with him training me as well, the immense, deep, legitimate caring that he has is obvious. And you couple that with the reality that he knows what he's doing and he knows the numbers literally unlike anybody I've ever known. And I have rubbed elbows with some incredible agents in this city. And now, as I'm kind of expanding my business literally across the nation, Brandon knows his numbers better than anyone I know. And so for an investor, if somebody comes to me and is like, hey, who should I use? To me, it's a no-brainer. It's like, talk to the guy who's literally can tell you what a neighborhood, the percentage of appreciation from the last decade of every neighborhood in the city. How does he know that? Not because somebody told him, but because he ran the numbers himself. Anyway, that to me is unbelievably impressive. So, about to start work on your CCIM stuff. I don't know if that's still on your radar. So, commercial property is something that Brandon's going to be gearing up towards as well, which is going to be awesome. So, for those of you commercial folks too, you need to holler at Brandon. That's going to be kind of where he's
coming soon. Yes,
coming
absolutely.
soon.
That is the original idea of the direction that I wanted to go. Again, investments are my thing. I like doing math. I love proving numbers, and so I think commercial absolutely will be right up my alley.
Last words, all yours, Brandon.
Well, first I want to appreciate you. I hope that everyone enjoyed, some things I haven't talked about, some controversial things, I suppose. We threw some religion in there a little bit. You never know in West Texas with that. But as far as anyone watching and anyone in Lubbock, with real estate, I'd love to help you. I'd love to help you with investments, with purchasing, selling. I truly believe that I have my best interest in my clients and always will. Again, I'm not in the business to lose anybody money, and I take a lot of pride in that. I'm not going to push a deal just to make a check. I'm very proud of Lubbock. I'm proud to be in Lubbock. I chose to come back here from the beaches of Tampa, Florida.
You crazy.
Which a lot of people say I'm crazy, but just like in my bio, I truly believe in Lubbock. I came out here almost kind of like a lost kid when I got out here, and the people of Lubbock have welcomed me with open arms. They've made me feel at home. Lubbock is the closest to home that I have ever had in my entire life, so I have to thank Lubbock for that and the people of that. And I honestly, I just continue to hope to make Lubbock proud, and I hope to make a difference. I hope to turn some eyes and turn some heads so that people say, you know what, this guy did some amazing things for this city and for the people in this city, and I will always take a lot of pride in myself in doing so.
Football, wrestling, real estate, the Brandon Carter, ladies and gentlemen. Thanks for joining us, dude.
Thank you.
This was good stuff.
Absolutely.
We'll catch you guys on the next Blu Moves.